Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Blue Beetle 2023, a new movie from DC Comics and Warner Brothers, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 7 minutes. As of the recording of this video, we have a Rotten Tomatoes score of 78% for the critics. We don't even have an aggregate score for the audience. I watched this pretty early on, so I could make a video for you guys. Let me give you a quick synopsis, and then we'll get into more people behind the camera. Recent college grad Jaime Reyes returns home full of aspirations for his future, only to find that home is not quite as he left it. As he searches to find his purpose in the world, fate intervenes when Jaime unexpectedly finds himself in possession of an ancient relic of alien biotechnology, the Scarab. When the Scarab suddenly chooses Jaime to be his symbiotic host, he bestows with an incredible suit of armor capable of extraordinary and unpredictable powers, forever changing his destiny as he becomes the superhero Blue Beetle. This movie is directed by Angel Manuel Soto, written by Gareth Dunit Alcocer, and it stars Solo Madureña as Jaime Reyes, Bruno Marquezine as Jenny Cord, Becky G as the voice of the Scarab, Kaji Da, Damien Alcazar as Alberto Reyes, who is Jaime's dad. We also have George Lopez as Rudy Reyes, Adriana Barraza as Nana Reyes, Melissa Escobedo as Milagro Reyes, who is Jaime's sister, Elpidia Carrillo as Rocio Reyes, who is Jaime's mom, Susan Sarandon as Victoria Cord, and we have a lot to say about Susan Sarandon, Harvey Guillen as Dr. Sanchez, and Raul Max Trujillo as Carapax. Um, I will say I'm a little biased in a few ways in this film, so that might definitely affect my impact of the film. Uh, First of all, Jaime Reyes' version of the Blue Beetle is one of my favorite versions of Blue Beetle. As a matter of fact, we're doing a whole stream on legacy superheroes from comic books at later on this week. So or it might be out if you're watching this later on. So make sure to go check that out on the channel. But yeah, he's great. I think as much as Dan Garrett and Ted Cord are fun versions of the Blue Beetle, I feel like Jaime adding the cosmic aspect of it, the alien technology part of it, really fulfills the role and expands on this character's full potential. Right, it's really fun. It's also very much of a wish fulfillment character where this young man can do things that are amazing and incredible, and he and it's all because of this beetle that has chosen him. Also, of course, Jaime is a big part of representation of the Latino culture, and it's really nice to see that stuff on screen. There's a lot of that in this movie. There's a lot of parts that just are really everyday life for a lot of people that look like Jaime and look like me. So that was really fun to experience at the theater and the big screen, and it's always good to see heroes representation on the screen. So, but other than that, I think the movie's still just a whole lot of fun. I don't think it's perfect. I think it has a few things that uh, could be more streamlined. I think it's a little long in the tooth, but I think most movies are now. Like I feel like because it is an origin story, it has to have a few of those extra beats that, as a longtime movie watcher, maybe we don't need as much anymore. But creators still feel that to tell the full story, they have to deliver these type of beats. The little training and the conversation with the host and stuff like that. So uh, let's talk about the story here first. I think the story is very basic, right? We heard the synopsis, and I think it's very straightforward. It's a great way to introduce Jaime to the audience in general, and it just really worked. And I think what made the story stand out was not so much how common the superhero stuff was, but all the layers beneath, talking about Jaime's family and exploring those relationships and comparing that to Jenny Cord and the relationship with her aunt Victoria, and just having those simple things like that really add a lot of depth to the film, because it lets you see how different people at different levels in society and just different levels of even in their life are affected by family in very different ways, right? I think that's definitely one of the big themes of this film. Family is it's big in the message that the film is trying to portray, and I really appreciated that. Um, Other than that, we get a very straightforward story. There's some really fun reveals and mysteries, everything that's kind of added in there. So I quite enjoyed. Like I was never at any point bored. It's been a little while since I haven't had to go use the restroom in the middle of film, which was nice. So I get to catch the whole thing. So yeah, I really like all that stuff. This movie also has some really amazing visuals. Everything with the Beetle, I think it looks great. It's a little odd. Like usually superheroes that wear a helmet like this sometimes look a little weird. Like the head looks a little bigger, but I think in this case it kind of makes sense. It fits. It really works. I've seen a lot of cosplayers of doing Blue Beetle where they have to make the head pretty big, right? But because of the CGI and the visuals that they're laying on top of it, they're able to do a good job to make sure that everything kind of looks in the right proportions. Um, all the effects look a lot of fun. There's big battle scenes that, of course, take a lot of visual effects that I think they just fit. Nothing looks fake. Everything works out in a manner that it just shows you. I think this best story in its full potential. I really like all the things that the Scarab can do. Um, I even think that there's not a lot of, unlike a movie like Iron Man where we get a lot of heads up display, we rarely see Jaime in the suit, like with his face, or even without the helmet. The movie really wants to rely on you understanding who the character is before we get to see a lot of Jaime without the helmet on. Also, the way that the suit kind of envelops Jaime is really fun. I think it's a very different approach from what I've seen. There are some logistical questions, but I won't go too much into detail because I don't want to get into any spoilers. But as you've seen in the trailer, like some of the weapons that the suit can produce, and even that giant sword that we see at the end of one of the trailers, really fun stuff. Let's talk about the performances. First of all, I think Solo Madureña is a very charismatic individual. So seeing him in the lead really helped out a lot. Everyone around him, all the supporting character, his family, like they really just felt very true to the story. They felt very authentic. Sometimes dialogue can get super cheesy in movies like this, but I don't think that was the case. So it really worked. It helped balance the story. There's some really funny moments. There's some moments that are a lot more sentimental as well. I think there's a few sequences on here that will tug at your heartstrings. So I would definitely expect a lot of people to come out of this film showing a full range of emotions. But I think the film is what it's setting out to do. So if you feel that way, I think that's delivering on a promise. I mentioned I wanted to go back to Susan Sarandon because boy, she plays one of the worst people I've ever seen in a superhero film, and she sells it. Like she's just there for it, and I really appreciated that. I think as much as this villain could have been a caricature, she just kind of went for it. So I think that was really good. Like this villain wasn't like super layered like something we've seen in other films, or even like like Thanos or Loki, that we have these layers that I'm like, maybe he's kind of a likable guy. This was a villain that was just like, I'm just a bad person and I don't give a fuck. So I think that was a really good choice. Uh, I also want to talk a little bit about Harvey Guillen. I feel like his character was a little underserved. Um, I don't know. It feels like he was in this film, and maybe he had a bigger role at some point, but that kind of had to be cut down. I don't know. I feel like I was missing one or two beats for his character for his full arc to make sense. As I mentioned, all the family stuff is great, and I don't want to talk too much about it because it would be a little bit more of a spoilery conversation, which maybe we'll do once we do a live stream for everyone. Um, some standouts, I think, Belice Escovedo as Milagro, like their relationship with Jaime as siblings is just really fun. And also Raul Max Trujillo's Carapax, just a very imposing character, very imposing dude. Just I can see why he was picked to be the one of the antagonists of this film. So there's also a lot of needle drops here, but these are needle drops that really just kind of make you want to move. They fit great in the setting of Palmera City, which is a city kind of like in the comics. Sometimes it's supposed to be El Paso, and there's even some little Easter eggs for that. So it's kind of an equivalent to that. Maybe some kind of coastal city as well. It's kind of a mix. DC loves to make up their own cities for these origins, but I think the flavor that we got for this with all the music cues, I think was a lot of fun. There's a lot of really fun Easter eggs for both the comic books, the larger world of DC, whatever we're going to be building going forward, because James Gunn has mentioned that Blue Beetle will be a character in the larger DCU, whatever that ends up being in his version of it. And then we also get a lot of just cultural references that to real life stuff, which is a lot of fun as well. Um, the movie's funny. The movie's full of heart. So yeah, I had a great time with this film. I do want to go rewatch it, maybe on a larger screen, maybe with a little Dolby surround sound or an IMAX. I watched it on a regular theater, but I think there are some sequences that are probably worthy of just that experience. So, as I mentioned, it's not perfect, and I'm a little biased in some of these things with the review, so I'm putting that up front. But I think out of all the superhero stuff that we've gotten this year, this is probably like mid to high level, right? It's I don't think it's as defining as Guardians 3 was, or as into or Across the Spider Verse, but it's definitely uh, the best DC film this year. Now, obviously, the bar's not very high according to a lot of people, but yeah, I really enjoyed this film, and it's a different tone of film, so I think that was really fun. So yeah, but I'm gonna stop before I go into spoilers because there's definitely a lot to talk about for this film. Definitely a lot of things. There are two after credit scenes, so make sure to stick around all the way to the end of the credits, and let us know what you thought of those as well in the comments. So, as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.